The Writings of Abraham, chapter 124. After the destruction of the cities of the plains, I, Abraham, journeyed to the south to the land of Gerar. Now the sovereign of the land of Gerar was Abimelek, and he was one who worshipped the Most High Elohim, and he was just and upright in all his ways. And Abimelek had entered the qadosh order of Elohim, and was a Kohen and a sovereign after the order of the Most High Elohim, and had received the rights and ordinances of the berakah. As a youth he had dwelt with me in the city of Shalom, and he was as a brother unto me, and we shared all things. When Sarah and I went in unto Abimelek to commune with him, the Ruah of Yihweh fell upon Abimelek, and he baraked Sarah in great outpourings after the order of the ancients, and anointed her that she might bear qadosh seed. And we rejoiced in the berakah of Yihweh unto Sarah through the 3 qadosh men from the city of Hanoch, and through his servant Abimelek. And the Ruah of Yihweh fell upon me also, and I baraked her and anointed her, that the Ruah of Yihweh might fall upon her in a greater outpouring to the sanctification of herself and her seed. And we rejoiced together for 3 nights and 2 days, and worshipped Yihweh our Elohim, and were filled with joy and peace in the berakah of Yihweh unto us. And we were magnified in Yihweh. The Writings of Abraham, chapter 125. The next night, after Sarah and I had returned to our camp, Abimelek was seated upon his throne praying, when a sleep from Yihweh fell upon him, and he slept there all that night. And while he slept, he dreamed a dream, in which a messenger of Yihweh with a drawn sword in his hand came and stood above him. And Abimelek was frightened at the messenger, but the messenger said unto him, Fear not, for because thou hast trustworthily entered into the rights and ordinances of my berakah, and hast walked a qadosh walk before me, and didst uphold Shem and Abraham after him in the work which I have called them to do in maintaining my qadosh order in the earth. Behold, I am sent to stand by thy side, and shall protect thee against all the power of the adversary. For thy sins are forgiven thee, and thine exaltation is sure, and thou shalt dwell forever in the presence of thy Elohim. So saying, the messenger departed from the vision of Abimelek, but he felt his presence near him from that time forth, and the adversary thereafter exercised no power over him. The Writings of Abraham, chapter 126. We had dwelt in Gerar 9 months when the 3 qadosh men of Elohim again visited us, and Sarah gave birth to a son. And on the 8th day he was circumcised according to the commandment of Yihweh to me, and I called his name Yitshaq. The child grew, and when he was 3 years old he was weaned, and I made a great feast on the day he was weaned. And Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalom, with Eber, his heir, and Abimelek, sovereign of Gerar, with his son Abimelek, and Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, father to Hagar and Yishma'el, and all the mighty princes of the land came to the feast which I prepared. For these were the men whom I loved, with my brethren Anaram, Eshcol, and Mamre. My father Terach also and my brother Nahor came unto the feast, having heard that Sarah had borne a son. And we all rejoiced before Yihweh for many days that my son Yitshaq had reached the age of weaning from his mother. And from that time forth Sarah and I introduced the lad into the Mishkan, and began to instruct him in the mysteries of reverence, that he might be prepared in his youth to enter into the most qadosh place, and be instructed there. For Shem had instructed me in the city of Shalom, that children should be instructed in the Hakel from the age of weaning, which is 3 years old, that they should be instructed in the most qadosh place from the age of puberty, which is 12 years old, and that they should be endowed with power from on high from the age of maturity, which is 14 years. But inasmuch as I had not journeyed unto the city of Shalom until I was 10 years old, I was prepared for the berakah of Yahweh's house in only a few years. The Writings of Abraham, chapter 127. My son Yishma'el I did not introduce into Yahweh's house in his childhood because he was not spiritual in his nature, but he was a hunter, proficient in the use of the bow and other instruments of death. Nevertheless, Yahweh was with Yishma'el and baraked him for my sake in all to which he put his hand. When Yitshaq was 5 years old, he was sitting with Yishma'el at the door of Hagar's tent, where Yishma'el was sharpening his arrows, for Yishma'el was 16 years old at this time. As they thus sat at the door of Hagar's tent, Yitshaq picked up one of Yishma'el's arrows and broke it. Seeing this, Yishma'el grew angry, and taking another arrow, he fitted it to his bow, intending to slay Yitshaq. But Yahweh touched his heart so that he did not slay him. But Sarah saw this thing which Yishma'el had intended to do to Yitshaq, and she was grieved at it. That night when I entered the tent of Sarah, she said to me, "Let Hagar and her son be sent to dwell apart, for this day did Yishma'el seek to slay Yitshaq." Now these words caused me great sorrow, for I did not desire to see my family divided. But that night a messenger of Yahweh came unto me in a dream, saying, "Hearken unto the words of Sarah thy wife, and let Hagar and her son Yishma'el dwell apart, lest harm come upon thy son Yitshaq, who shall be thine heir." The writings of Abraham, chapter 128. Therefore I arose early in the morning, and took Hagar and my son Yishma'el into the deserts of Arabia, where dwelt a people who were friendly to me. And there I built with Yishma'el a Heikel unto Yahweh our Elohim, that his seed might always be kept in remembrance of Yahweh. And Hagar and Yishma'el dwelt among the people of the desert, and were content. And Yishma'el was a mighty hunter with the bow among them. And every year at a certain time I went and dwelt with my wife Hagar and with my son Yishma'el. And when Yishma'el was 20 years of age, his mother asked my consent to take him to the house of her father in Mitzrayim, for she longed to see her family again. Wherefore I gave them my berakah, and they departed into the land of Mitzrayim, where they remained 1 year. And while they were in Mitzrayim, Yishma'el took the wife Merivah, daughter of Phanes, son of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And after he had taken Merivah to wife, they remained in the land of Mitzrayim yet 10 years. And Merivah bare unto Yishma'el 4 sons and 2 daughters. After this time Yishma'el took his mother and his wife and his children, and returned to the deserts of Arabia. And Yahweh baraked Yishma'el for my sake, and increased him in flocks and in herds and in good things. The writings of Abraham, chapter 129. When Yishma'el had returned from the land of Mitzrayim, I went, as was my custom, to stay with my wife Hagar and my son Yishma'el. And when Yishma'el was away hunting, his wife Merivah spake disrespectfully to me, and complained of my being in their tents. Moreover, she abused her children, and when I chastised her for this thing, she rose up in anger against me. My wife Hagar saw all these things, and when her son Yishma'el had returned from the hunt, she complained unto him of the actions of Merivah toward me. And Yishma'el came unto me and said, "My father, what shall I do with such a wife, who abuseth my father and my children, and speaketh evil of me?" For she had spoken against her husband Yishma'el also. And I said unto him, "Such a one is not fit to be thy wife, nor the mother of thy children, nor to dwell in thy tents. Wherefore give her a bill of divorcement, and send her back to the home of her father in shame, and find another more worthy than she to be thy wife and the mother of these children." So Yishma'el gave unto Merivah a bill of divorcement, and sent her back to her father Phanes in the land Mitzrayim, and his mother Hagar raised his children until he took another wife. The writings of Abraham, chapter 130. The next year Yishma'el came to my camp, and when he had kissed me, and we had eaten together, he said unto me, "My father, according to thine instructions, I did give unto my wife Merivah a bill of divorcement, and sent her back to the home of her father in shame. Now, therefore, I come unto thee to seek thy counsel concerning obtaining another in her place." Now it pleased me that my son Yishma'el had come to me regarding choosing a wife. Therefore I sought among the women of my camp, and found 2 who were desirous of being wife to Yishma'el, even Zola, the daughter of my wife Pelaliah, and Naomi, the daughter of Kemuel, the son of Kish, who had been among the believers who met in the room of my mother in the city of And I was pleased to give them unto my son Yishma'el, because he had come to me for counsel, and because he had begun to magnify his kehunah, for he did worship Yahweh our Elohim, and sought to overcome his weaknesses. And Yishma'el and his family dwelt with me a long time in Gerar, and after that when I moved my camp to Beersheba, which is by Hebron.